What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Ultra League submitted to the channel by Mario Plumber 014, who calls himself the XXL Hunter and is using a triple XXL team with Mudsdale, Appleton and Sir Titan. Now before we get into the battles, I want to mention someone else sent in some fun battles with Flapple. However, I do not have enough apples to evolve that one to make the graphic and the thumbnail, so if anyone has this Pokemon and wouldn't mind sharing some snapshots of it in my Discord, that would be greatly appreciated. You can find the link to the Discord in the description of this video. And with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your favorite Pokemon that you've caught as an XXL? Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. As we go into the first battle, leading Mudsdale into Galarian Weezing, a great lead matchup for us. The opponent is going to choose to stay in initially, and you can also say this is a severely underleveled Galarian Weezing. So at this point, the opponent is going to fire off a resisted Sludge. We tanked that very comfortably before swapping into, once again, another very underleveled Mandibuzz. Not really sure what's going on here. I know they do need to be XL for the Ultra League, but still, if you don't have the XLs, probably just don't use them. I think that would be a pretty good idea here, but either way, we're going to go for the Avalanche. Avalanche, going to do big damage up against the Mandibuzz, and at this point we can commit, well, never mind, I was going to say we can commit to a huge farm down, but instead we're actually going to fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam grabs a shield from the opponent, and at this point we still do not need to shield this. The opponent is going to go for the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace does not do much damage. They do get to back-to-back, but either way we can still tank another Aerial Ace very comfortably and go for the Powder Snow farm down. The opponent actually swaps back into their Galarian Weezing, but we've got the Avalanche. Avalanche gets the one-shot there. They come in with their final Pokemon, a Shadow for Alligator. We're going to go for the Body Slam and then probably swap back into our Appleton here. Body Slam, going to be no-shielded. Of course, Shadow for Alligator does have access to Ice Beam. We're going to shield the first move. The opponent does full send the Ice Beam there, and at this point this should be game over. All we need to do now is safely double shield. The opponent gonna fire for another charge move here. The opponent is gonna go for another Ice Beam. They might try and make a catch. They do, but we can just go for the full Astonish farm down. We reach back-to-back Seed Bombs. The first one should be grabbing the final shield here, and no, actually the opponent just lets it go through. They realize it's game over, and so we're able to take that game. Into next battle, lead Mudsdale into a Regirock. So I have not seen Regirock for a while. To be honest, I have not played the Ultra League in quite a while either, so I don't know if it's like fairly common these days. But either way, they say swap into Flygon, and we can hard punish them with Sir Titan. Of course, they do have access to Stone Edge, but they just go for a Dragon Claw here, likely running Scorching Sands as the secondary charge move. But either way, we're actually going to fire off a Body Slam on the CMP tie, losing CMP. However, it's not going to do too much damage, and we're actually going to undercharge this just to get more farm with the Powder Snows. Perfect farm down there. They come back in with the Regirock, and of course we can go straight for Avalanche. Avalanche gonna do big damage up against the Regirock here, and the opponent will be forced to throw a charge move. Of course, they have zero fast speed pressure with those lock-ons. They go for Stone Edge. They get the KO there. We can come back in with the Mudsdale, and their final Pokemon gonna be a Crobat, which is actually a little bit of a core breaker now that Sir Titan has gone down. We're gonna go and spam out these Body Slams here. First one is going to be shielded. The second Body Slam coming through is going to be no shielded this time around. It doesn't really do too much damage here, which is unfortunate. And of course, these Mud Slaps are going to be single resisted. You go for another Body Slam though. Body Slam does grab the final shield. Don't really know why they shielded at this point, but either way, we're going to no shield. It's just a Poison Fang bait there that is resisted by the ground typing, and we're able to throw on CMP. That is huge for us. Best case scenario, Body Slam gets them very deep in the yellow health range. We're just going to no shield once again. Poison Fang still does not get the KO, so we swap into Appleton. The opponent banks some energy, and at this point I think we probably just we can actually just no shield this. They go for a full Astonish farm down here. Come out with the Outrage loaded. Nope, never mind. We're not even going to commit to that. I'm having a rough time trying to predict what we're doing here. But either way, we can now just commit to a full Astonish farm down. Not going to get the 2 shield flex, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Shielding up the Poison Fang. Astonish gets the KO there, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, see Pangoro in the lead, so not too bad to see it here. Of course, the Titan gonna struggle, taking super effective damage from the fighting typing, and of course, Appleton gonna hit for resisted fast speed pressure, but we are going to full send the Earthquake right off the bat here. Earthquake is going to be... What the hell? Oh, that's Bulldoze. What the heck am I talking about? I thought we were running Earthquake the whole time. What the hell is wrong with me? Either way, we are going to no shield. They go for close combat, but we actually tank it, and now we come out with another Bulldoze loaded. So Bulldoze coming through is going going to not hit very hard, but it does drop their defense, which is very nice. We can come in with the Appleton, presumably going to resist the Trailblaze. They might be on Dragon Pulse here. Of course, they could go for Brutal Swing. The opponent goes for Focus Blast there. That does huge damage, but they've got for Alligator in the back. So, of course, we're going to go straight for a Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb is going to be shielded by the opponent, and we can reach another Seed Bomb. This is going to deal a lot of damage here, so the opponent is going to use their final shield. We can come in with Sir Titan, and we've only got resisted fast move pressure, but the opponent just concedes the match there. I don't think that was game over yet. I think that was a little bit premature of the opponent, but either way, into the next battle. What the heck is even there? So we're seeing Executor in the lead. We're going to swap into Appleton. They are on Bullet Seed, so double resisting the fast move damage. They are going to go straight for a Seed Bomb, which is double resisted. That makes literally zero sense. What on earth are these battles so far? We are now going to go for an Outrage. This is also double resisted. What are we doing here? Outrage. Going to grab a shield, though, as the opponent probably has no clue what moves Appleton has. We now come in with Sir Titan, and hopefully this battle does get a little bit more normal from here on out. But either way, we are going to shield the Aerial Ace. Going to overfarm just slightly. Fire off the Body Slam here. Body Slam shouldn't be enough damage to get the KO, but it puts them into farm down range for the Powder Snow. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Kingdra, so we're going straight for Avalanche here. Avalanche only going to hit for neutral damage, but it does do some respectable damage there. And we are going to go for a Body Slam at this point. Opponent is going to have to let that go through there, and we are still unfortunately not going to be able to get a full Powder Snow farm down, so we fire off another charge move here. Body Slam is going to be shielded by the opponent. We come in with the Mudsdale, and I think we have to let this move... No, never mind. I was going to say, I think we have to let this move go through, but it's just the Octazooka, and they do not get the debuff, and that is huge for us. We can now go for the Body Slam here. Body Slam is going to be connecting, of course, as they do have no shields remaining. We are going to see a Seed Bomb coming through. It does big damage, but Mudsdale just barely able to hang on. Reach a last second Body Slam. Body Slam gets the KO there, and we're able to take that game. That was a truly bizarre battle. But into the next battle, we're going to see Mudsdale into Primarina, and they are on Waterfall. So we're going to swap into Appleton, of course, a Dragon-type Pokemon, but we are double resisting the fast move damage. We are going to definitely shield here, respect the damage, and it is just a Hydro Cannon bait. But the opponent just stops attacking, so it looks like we've stopped for a brief moment before firing off a Seed Bomb here. We're going to fully undercharge this. Seed Bomb is going to grab a shield from the opponent. We're now going to overfarm by one more Astonish. Fire off Seed Bomb number 2. Again, going to undercharge this. It still gets the KO, though. And they're going to come in with another Fairy-type Pokemon. Don't really understand why they didn't just swap into their... I've forgotten what it's called. Sylveon there. But either way, we're going to fire off the Bulldoze. Bulldoze grabs the shield. It does not drop the defense. And at this point, happy to just let the Mudsdale go down. We've grabbed the shield there. We can come back in with the Appleton, of course. And we are going to be able to outpace them to the charge move. Could go for Seed Bomb here, but instead, going to full send the Outrage. Outrage does not get the KO, but that might be slightly better for us as it puts them into perfect Powder Snow farm down range. They then bait with a Hydro Cannon for some reason. I don't have a clue what's going on here. Honestly, these are some of the strangest battles I've seen this season by far. We are going to shield up the Side Shock there. We are now going to full send the Avalanche. Avalanche going to do big damage in this matchup. Avalanche is going to get them into the other health range, and we are going to not commit to the next Avalanche. Doesn't really matter at this point. Body Slam is enough damage to not actually get the KO, but we get the Powder Snow farm down, and we can just Powder Snow farm down for Alligator to take that game. Into the next battle, we see Alola Muck in the lead, so a great matchup for us, of course. Mud Slaps hitting for big damage. They swap into Greninja. We can come in with the Appleton, and actually not that dominant of a matchup just because Astonish is going to be resisted. They fire off the Night Slash there. Night Slash does not get the boost, but they're able to reach a second Night Slash already. So at this point, we realize we're not going to win CMP here, so we do overfarm. We're now going to go for one Astonish, fire off the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb is going to be shielded by the opponent. We should still be able to tank another Night Slash from the opponent, and of course Water Shuriken is double resisted. They will not be able to fully farm us down, so we go for another Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb number 2 going to be double shielded by the opponent. So at this point, are we going to shield? No, we're happy to let the Appleton go down, grab both shields from the opponent. They finally get the boost though, which is definitely not ideal for us, but I think at this point we're just going to shield once and then commit to a full Mud Slap farm down. I really do not mind this play whatsoever. Night Slash grabs the first shield from us, but they come in with a Dragonite. So of course we've got Sir Titan here. We go for Body Slam first. We swap into Sir Titan, and these Powder Snows are dealing huge damage. They are so slow to swap out there. I don't know what took them so long, but now we can fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche does big damage up against the Muck there. We're just going to no-shield this as the opponent is going to go and fire off a Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse does do quite a lot of damage there, but we can go for the body slam. We're going to undercharge this once again, looking for the farm down, and we get that perfect farm down, coming out with another body slam loaded. Honestly, maybe you could have come out with the avalanche. That would have been slightly better for us, but either way, that certainly puts them into range where we can go for the BM with the bulldoze. Bulldoze, double resisted, not a good move, but it still gets the KO up against the Dragonite, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, amazing lead matchup for us as we see Mudsdale into Ampharos. And the opponent is going to stay in this matchup here, of course. Probably going to have access to Trailblaze, although last time I said that, they went for a Focus Blast. They're just going to go for a Brutal Swing this time around, so I just don't have a clue what the heck is going on in these battles. But we are actually going to shield the next Charge Reef here, as the opponent does go for another Brutal Swing, but we can commit to a full Mudslap farm down. Now they come in with a Feraligatr. We're going to go straight for the Bulldoze here. Bulldoze is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. It really does not do much damage, but we do drop their defense, and we can fire off a second Bulldoze immediately. Bulldoze number 2 actually grabs a shield there. You can see we tried to swap and catch the move, but it doesn't work out for us. At this point, just happy to let the Mudsdale go down. We can come in with the Appleton. They've dropped their defense there, but they've got Typhlosion in the back, and this is quite awkward for us. As, of course, Sir Titan going to take super effective damage here. We are going to shield. They do full send the Blast Burn. We are now going to go for one Astonish, fire off the Outrage here. If they shield this, it could get very awkward for us. So we are going to possibly swap out. No, we're not going to swap out. Instead, I'm going to fire off the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb is not going to be enough damage to get the KO. But we're happy to just let them throw the Charge Reef here. We've put them into range where hopefully we can just Powder Snow, farm them down with Sir Titan, so the opponent swaps back into Feraligatr, and unfortunately Body Slam will not be enough damage to get the KO. I wonder if Avalanche would do more damage here. They go for Crunch for some reason. Honestly, some very baffling decisions here. We're going to go for the Avalanche. Avalanche does put them into farm down range here, and they don't even fire for another Charge Reef. We come out with the Body Slam loaded, and of course, from this range, Body Slam will be enough to take out Typhlosion, and we're able to take that game. We're going into next battle, Mudsdale into Skeledirge, another great matchup for us. We're just going to stay in here. The opponent is going to stay in as well, so possibly, like we've seen a few times already, Mudsdale might be core breaking the opponent's team, but we're going to no-shield. They go for the Shadow Ball. I do not understand that play whatsoever. We could have just shielded once and possibly gone for a full Mudslap farm down, but either way, they're going to swap into Giratina. We can come in with Sir Titan. I'm going to no-shield the first move here, going to full send the Avalanche, of course. Body Slam, a very risky bait, and the opponent does no-shield. So at this point, we should be able to no-shield once again and go for a full farm down, although that might be quite close. So instead, we're just going to play it safe here, go for the shield, get that Powder Snow farm down, but unfortunately, we are completely walled by the Skeledirge. So going to full send the Avalanche. This is single resisted, and it is stab, and a great charge move. And we do come out with another Avalanche. So we can go for back-to-back here. First one, grabs the shield. Second one, going to be no-shielded. And let's see what we want to do here. We're going to come in with the Appleton, and we are going to no-shield. Maybe could have just sacrificed the Mudsdale at that point, but we go for the Astonish farm down, and let's see. The opponent's going to have a Jellicent in the back, so actually having a slight energy advantage is very nice, especially since we just swap out, make the catch there. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball. Of course, Surf would be double resisted, so quite a risky bait on their end. We can now go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb doesn't actually do that much damage, but we still got a shield in play here. We're going to shield this up as the opponent is going to go and bait with a Surf. Doesn't really matter at this point. They're not going to reach another charge move. We get the Astonish farm down, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, another Pokemon Week 2 Mudsdale in the lead, and again they're staying in, so I don't know if they're core broken or if they just, I don't know, I don't know what's going on here. We're going to go for the Body Slam, and unfortunately Calissopod, a little bit awkward for us, so we're going to swap out here, hoping to catch a Liquidation, and, sorry, not a Liquidation, Aqua Jet, and Aqua Jet, we're able to catch it. That's double resisted, and that is absolutely huge for us, because of course, X-Scissor and Aerial Ace are both going to hit for super effective damage. They are on X-Scissor, and that does huge damage there, but we can now go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb might not get the KO from this range, but it does grab the first shield from the opponent. However, they can go for a very aggressive farm down. The opponent's going to come back in with their Ampharos, so we're going to no-shield this as the opponent goes for a Thunder Punch. So we've seen a whole bunch of different moves from Ampharos so far, none of them on Trailblaze yet, but we are going to shield anyways, respect the damage, and they go for a Brutal Swing. But it doesn't really matter, we get the full Mudslap farm down, but the opponent comes back in with Galissapod, so we're going straight for the Body Slam here. Body Slam from this range is actually going to grab the final shield for the opponent, and it was a CMP tie. So at this point, we're going to shield, use our final shield there. We can now go for one extra Mudslap, fire off the Body Body Slam. Body Slam will certainly get the KO from this range. And let's see their final Pokemon. Yes, they were core broken by the Mudsdale. We're going to go for Bulldoze. We've seen already Bulldoze, not a very good move here. Not going to do much damage, but we're able to swap, catch the charge move. Pretty unnecessary there, but it doesn't really matter. The opponent goes for Blast Burn. It gets the one shot. We come back in with the Mudsdale. We get the farm down, and we're able to take that game. So go into the next battle, and yet another Shadow Ampharos here. So the opponent, once again, just going to stay in. Like, what the heck are these battles? We are going to no-shield the first move here. We've not seen Trailblaze yet, but of course, the one time we do not respect the damage, and they are on Trailblaze. And there we go, another Pokemon weak to the Mudsdale. We go for Bulldoze there. Bulldoze is going to be shielded, and unfortunately, we're only going to reach a Body Slam here. Body Slam is double resisted, but it does grab a shield, and that is absolutely huge for us. We can now come in with the Appleton, of course, hitting for super effective damage with the Astonish here. The opponent is on Disarming Voice as well, so all of these no-shields have been quite costly for us so far. We're definitely going to shield this time around as the opponent goes for another Disarming Voice. We can now actually commit to a full farm down, coming out with a ton of loaded energy, and the opponent's going to come in with a Cresselia, so going straight for Outrage here. Outrage, definitely the better move than Seed Bomb. Outrage still doesn't really do that much damage, but the opponent swaps back into the Ampharos. We're able to swap, make a very nice catch there, catching the Brutal Swing onto us, a Titan. We can now just commit to a full Powder Snow farm down, and that should be game over. We can go for the Avalanche straight away as soon as we get there. Avalanche, of course, a great charge move. Gonna hit fairly hard up against Cresselia. We can just safely no-shield this. I believe Appleton does have a charge move loaded. They go for the Grass Knot there. Not enough damage to get the KO. And at this point, we're not even going to bother shielding at this point. We are going to no-shield the opponent. Grass Knot does take us out this time around, but we have the Outrage loaded, and we are, of course, going to go for the No Bubble. Going for the Flex there. It still does not get the KO, but we get the Astonish farm down, and we're able to take that game. So go into next battle, Mudsdale, and finally we lose a lead here. It's not another Ampharos, but the opponent is just not going to attack for some reason. We're going to swap into our Appleton here, and the opponent is going to farm up like infinite energy at this point. We're definitely going to no-shield this. The opponent is going to go for a Leaf Blade. What the heck are you doing? We are going to see a Talonflame coming in. Man, I have to say, these battles are a little bit painful to watch, but hopefully they're somewhat entertaining as well. But we are going to no-shield this as the opponent is going to go and fire off a Fly. Fly does get the KO from that range. Of course, Virizion still does have quite a lot of energy here, so we do have to be careful of that. We are going to go for the Body Slam, and of course, if we swap into Titan, it's going to be slightly risky for us because they could have Sacred Sword or Stone Edge, both of which will hit for super effective damage. But we're going to no-shield anyways, as the opponent again just goes for a Leaf Blade for some reason, but they've got a Licky in the back, so not really ideal for us. We're going to go and fire off the Avalanche. Avalanche is really not going to do that much damage up against the Licky, and we are going to use our first shield. The opponent fires off the Body Slam. Body Slam would not do much damage in this situation, but we do kind of need to start shielding at some point, so we go for Avalanche number 2. We grab a shield there. We're now going to swap back into Mudsdale, and we're just going to continue to overfarm here. The opponent is going to go for a Shadow Ball there. I was going to say, pretty unlikely that they're going to be on Solar Beam, so we do no-shield that. We go for Body Slam. Body Slam grabs the final shield, and that is huge for us. We can now let the Mudsdale go down. The opponent goes for Leaf Blade. It gets the KO, but we can now come back in with Titan, and we could have thrown on CMP there, but instead, going to look to overfarm in this matchup. They go for another Leaf Blade. We're only going to overfarm ever so slightly in this situation. Going for the Avalanche. Avalanche gets the KO here, but can we reach another Avalanche in time? No, we needed to overfarm just a little bit more up against the Virizion. Body Slam gets the KO there, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But going into the next battle, we're going to see an Obstagoon in the lead. So I guess we want to see it here because we've got an Astonish user in the back and a Pokemon weak to counter. So we're just going to stay in this matchup. Going to no-shield the first charge move as the opponent is going to go for an Obstruct there. So of course, boosting up the defense. Not ideal, but hopefully Bulldoze can debuff the defense once again. So let's see. Bulldoze is going to drop the defense. I believe, yep, it does drop the defense there, which is very nice. We are now going to shield the next charge move here as the opponent is going to go for another Obstruct there, but we can now go for another Bulldoze. Hopefully, once again, just drop their defense instantly. Bulldoze going to be no-shielded, and it does drop the defense there. So each time they boost up the defense, we're just instantly dropping it back down. We go for a Body Slam this time around. It grabs a shield from the opponent. And this is a little bit awkward for us because we can come in with Sir Titan, but of course these counters are going to be super effective. The opponent is going to go for another obstruct there, really not doing much damage. They drop our defense and they boost their defense once again. Of course, we are now going to no shield this, and the opponent is actually on Night Slash. They're just addicted to going for those obstructs, but we actually get the snipe with the triple resisted Astonishes actually, and we can go for an outrage here, but we're actually not going to throw straight away. Instead, we're getting a full Astonish in for free as they throw, but they come in with a Clefable, and this is certainly not ideal for us. We go for Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb really doesn't do too much damage there. We can fire off a second Seed Bomb straight away. However, the opponent will be able to now overfarm quite considerably in this matchup. They're going to throw out the Charge Reef. The opponent is going to go for a Meteor Mash. Meteor Mash gets the KO there, but we do have quite a lot of energy on our Sir Titan, so we are taking no risks, going straight for Avalanche. Avalanche gets the KO there, and will an Avalanche be enough damage up against this Giratina to get the KO with a few more Powder Snows? Avalanche does big damage. Can we get the farm down? Yes, just barely able to do so, and we're able to take that game.
So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.